Where are you watching from? Comment below, like this video, share it, and don't forget to subscribe. Because what I'm about to tell you, it still gives me chills. I hadn't planned on going to that reunion. High school wasn't just a phase for me, it was a wound. The kind that never really heals. Just fades enough for you to pretend it doesn't hurt anymore. But when I got the invitation, something inside me whispered, "Go!" Maybe it was curiosity. Or maybe I just wanted to prove to myself that I wasn't that girl anymore. I'm Emma, 33, and for most of my life, I've been the girl people pitied. Or worse, ignored. Walking into that hotel ballroom that night felt like stepping back in time. The same polished smiles, the same clicks, the same subtle judgment hidden behind fake warmth. Emma? Oh my God, is that really you? I turned, forcing a smile. It was Jessica Miller. Of course it was. Blonde, perfect, and still carrying herself like she owned every room she walked into. "Wow," she said, her eyes scanning me from head to toe. You look the same." I knew what that meant. Not richer, not more successful, not upgraded, just the same. I laughed softly. "Good to see you too, Jessica." But it didn't stop there. As the night went on, I started noticing the whispers, the glances, the little laughs that cut deeper than they should have. And then I heard it. I wasn't even part of the conversation. I was just passing by when someone said it loud enough for me to hear. "Some people never change," a voice chuckled. "Emma? Yeah, just as poor as she was before, she still is." They laughed, every single one of them. For a second, I froze. It was like I was 17 again, standing in the hallway with worn-out shoes and a lunch. I pretended I wasn't ashamed of. My chest tightened, but I didn't cry. Not anymore. Instead, I smiled. Because what they didn't know was that I hadn't come to prove anything. I had come to finish something, and by the end of that night, they were going to wish they had never said my name. I stood there for a moment, holding my drink like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. Their laughter echoed in my ears, but something inside me had already shifted. The old Emma would have slipped out quietly, maybe cried in the car, maybe questioned her worth all over again, but not tonight. Tonight, I turned around. I walked straight toward them. Each step felt deliberate, controlled. My heels clicked against the floor, and slowly, their laughter faded as they noticed me approaching. Jessica was the first to react. Her smile stiffened. "Oh, Emma, we were just talking about me?" I finished, my voice calm, almost too calm. There was an awkward silence. A few of them looked down. Others avoided eye contact. But Jessica? She still had that same look. That same quiet superiority. "You know how it is," she said with a small shrug. "We were just catching up." I nodded slowly. "Yeah, I heard it." For a second, no one spoke. Then I smiled again, but this time it wasn't polite. It was knowing. "Funny thing is," I said, tilting my head slightly, "you're not wrong." That caught them off guard. "I was poor," I continued. "I struggled. I worked 2 jobs while going to school. I skipped meals so my mom could eat. I wore the same shoes for 2 years." No one was laughing now. "I remember everything," I said softly. "Every joke, every whisper, every time I pretended I didn't hear." Jessica crossed her arms. "Emma, we were kids. Don't be so dramatic." I let out a small breath, almost like I'd been waiting for her to say that. "You're right," I said. "We were kids." Then I leaned in slightly, lowering my voice just enough to pull them closer. "But the difference is, I grew up." Her expression changed, just a little. Confusion, mixed with something else. Doubt. I straightened up and took a slow sip of my drink, letting the silence stretch just long enough to make them uncomfortable. Because now, they were the ones wondering, what had changed? What did I mean? And more importantly, what did I know that they didn't? I looked around at all of them, really looked this time. And that's when I realized something. They hadn't changed at all. Still insecure, still cruel, still stuck in the same small mindset they had back then. And suddenly, I didn't feel small anymore. I felt powerful because they were about to learn something the hard way. You should never underestimate the girl you once looked down on, because sometimes she comes back with a story you were never prepared for. I could see it in their faces now. That shift, that uncomfortable feeling creeping in when people realize they might have misjudged someone. Jessica tried to recover first, of course. "So, what, Emma?" she said, forcing a laugh. "You gonna give us a motivational speech now?" A few of them chuckled nervously, but it wasn't the same anymore. The confidence was gone. I smiled, slow, controlled. "No," I said, "I don't need to." I reached into my purse, calmly pulling out my phone. For a split second, I caught Jessica rolling her eyes, like she thought I was about to show them some basic job or small achievement. That's what they expected. Something ordinary, something they could still feel superior to. But then I turned the screen toward them, and everything changed. At first, no one said anything. Their eyes scanned the screen, confusion turning into shock. Jessica leaned in closer. "Wait, is this?" "Yes," I said quietly. "It is." It was an article, a feature story. My name was right there at the top, not as a victim, not as someone to pity, but as someone who had built something powerful. "I started a small online business 5 years ago," I continued, "from my kitchen, with nothing but a borrowed laptop and $100. No one interrupted me now. "I've failed twice," I said, "lost everything once, slept on my own floor because I couldn't afford a bed." I paused, letting that sink in. But I didn't quit. Jessica's face had completely changed now. The confidence? Gone, replaced with disbelief. "And today," I added, locking eyes with her, "that small business is worth a little over $8 million. Silence. Heavy, thick, uncomfortable silence. Someone actually whispered, "No way." I let out a quiet breath. "You know what the funny part is?" I said, "I didn't come here to show this." I lowered my phone slowly. "I came here to see if any of you had changed." Their faces dropped, because now they understood. This wasn't just about success. This was about them, about who they still were. Jessica tried to speak, but nothing came out. And for the first time in my life, she looked small. I stepped back slightly, glancing around the group one last time. "You laughed at me for being poor," I said softly. "But the truth is," I paused, just long enough to make them lean in, "you're still stuck in the same place you left me." No one had a response, not a single word. And that's when I knew the night wasn't over yet. Because what I was about to do next was something none of them would ever forget. The room was completely silent. No whispers, no laughter, just the sound of their own embarrassment hanging in the air. I took one last look at them, at Jessica, who couldn't even meet my eyes anymore, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I felt closure. "I didn't come here to humiliate anyone," I said calmly. "You already did that to yourselves." No one spoke, because deep down, they knew it was true. I picked up my purse, ready to leave, but then I paused. I turned back one last time. "You called me poor," I said softly. "But being poor isn't about money." I let that sink in. It's about mindset. And some of you never got out of that. Jessica's eyes dropped instantly. And that was it. That was the moment everything ended. Not with revenge, not with shouting, but with truth. I walked out of that reunion with my head high, not because I proved them wrong, but because I finally stopped caring what they thought. And that was my real victory. As I stepped outside into the cool night air, I took a deep breath, and for the first time in years, I felt free. Completely free. So yeah, that's how the story ended. Not with me destroying them, but with them realizing they were never better than me to begin with. And if you've ever been judged, underestimated, or made to feel small, just remember this: your moment will come too. Just don't give up before it does. If you liked this story, let me know in the comments. And tell me honestly, would you have done the same thing?